Hey y'all, welcome to Foodie Fetish. I am the lovely Drea, and today I will be showing you all how to make a seafood ravioli. So let's get started. So first we're going to make our pasta dough from scratch. I have whole wheat flour, and this is enough for 2 servings. I use 1.5 cups of flour, and I'm also going to use 2 eggs and a pinch of salt. And so first what you want to do, you just want to make a little well, because this is where the eggs are going to go. It doesn't have to be super neat, but you need to make it to where, you know, the egg won't escape once you mixing it together. And crack like so. And then you can just add a pinch of salt. And then just like slowly mix the eggs in. Make sure nothing escapes. And then little by little you can start pushing flour in to mix everything together. And this whole process take about like 10 minutes with mixing it and everything. You just want to take your time. No rush, you won't have anywhere to be. And I like using whole wheat flour as opposed to just regular white flour, because whole wheat flour has more fiber and protein in it. So you're more likely to be full longer, and it also has fewer calories than, you know, your traditional pasta that's made with white flour. And now we want to wrap it with some plastic wrap and sit it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes because the yeast needs to settle. Now we're going to get started on the ravioli filling. And for the filling, I have crawfish, crab meat, and shrimp. And right now, I'm just chopping up the crawfish and the shrimp into smaller pieces. And then I'm going to combine that into the bowl with the crab meat. Next, I'm going to season with some fresh parsley, some fresh thyme, salt, pepper, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and cayenne pepper. Now I'm going to add a big spoonful of ricotta cheese. And then you just want to mix that all together until you get that nice consistency. It's going to be a little bit wet, but it shouldn't be too wet, but you need some type of moisture in there. I'm using fresh shrimp, so I'm adding that entire mixture into the pan so I can cook the shrimp. It's going to take about 2 minutes to cook the shrimp, and make sure that you don't leave it on too long because you don't want to overcook the shrimp and it'll end up being rubbery. To get started with the pasta sauce, I'm adding extra virgin olive oil to an already preheated skillet. Next, I'm adding baby bella mushrooms, but you can add any type of mushroom you prefer. I'm also adding diced bell peppers, both red and green. Also diced yellow onions, as well as minced garlic. And I'm just going to let that saute for about 5 minutes. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of seafood stock that I made earlier. And to make the seafood stock, it's pretty simple. I just used the leftover shells and heads from the crawfish and shrimp that I added to the ravioli mixture earlier and brought that to a boil for about 10 minutes. Next, I'm adding the heavy whipping cream. And I seasoned it using the same spices that I used to season the seafood filling. And I'm just going to let this simmer for about 2 minutes. Next, I'm adding the freshly grated parmesan cheese, and I'm going to let that simmer for about 2 minutes. And at this point, you should see your sauce starting to thicken up. And if your sauce is too thick for your liking, you can always add more of the seafood stock to thin it out. For like the last 30 seconds, I like to add some fresh parsley to it. Just like a little bit, not too much. And just stir that. Once you take your dough out the fridge, you want to let it sit for about like 10 minutes so you can get up to room temperature, because if you don't let it sit, it's going to be really hard to roll out. And so what I like to do, I like to just, you know, get a little flour on it, so I'll roll it in the flour for a little bit. And now we're just going to take our rolling pin and just start trying to flatten it out. I'm using a cookie cutter to get that perfect circle for the ravioli, but if you don't have a cookie cutter, you can always just use a knife and just cut out squares. I use about a tablespoon of filling, but depending on how big your squares or circles are will determine how much filling you will use, but you don't want to overstuff it because then you won't be able to seal the ravioli. Okay, and then we're just gonna put this on top and squeeze the edges first, do 2 on the opposite side, and then just press it down. Make sure that stuffing is just tucked in there. And then you just take your fork and just gently press around the edges. This is how your ravioli should look. Cute little ridges. Next, add your ravioli to a pot of boiling salted water, and the pasta will take about 7 minutes to cook, and after that you can remove and we can start plating. To finish this off, I'm going to add some parsley as well as some freshly grated pecorino romano cheese. And there you have it. We are done. I hope you guys really enjoyed this recipe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you so much for stopping by. See you guys next time.